I'm a hero, I'm for hire, I'm a seller, I'm a buyer. Conversations with me in my lounge as the screen. You know me, my Morgan, subject board, follow him. I'm the comic man. I'm the comic man.
Oh, hello, true believers. I forgot. I had a show again. How many people show up in my living room? What the hell? All right. Anyway, we have another episode of Comic Conversations. Of course, I knew there was a show. You know, it's my Mr. Rogers intro. I know it's kind of lame, but anyway, it's another episode of Comic Conversations. A very special guest tonight. Really cool dude. I've known him for a little while. He's got a great show. Does great content. And he's got some cool books. And right, please welcome Chonko. Oh, hold on. There he is. All right.
Hey, I love the intro. The intro's great.
Oh, thanks. That's Freaky Louie. I don't know if you know Freaky Louie, but he made the intro. He did the one for Mad Spidey's Outback too. I told him, I want the song "The Pusher Man" by Curtis Mayfield, but I want it to be Comic Man. And he thought and says, well, there's a few words he used in that song that I can't say. I'm like, well, I don't want you trying to even say that. Just say, make up something. So, and I don't know. We don't need anybody talking about cocaine and speed or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. That's what I would kind of joke. Was kind of a joke with me too about the, like, you buy too many comics, man. I'm like, well, it could be drugs. So
that's right.
All right. So how are you doing tonight?
Doing well. Yeah. It's a short week. Had MLK off yesterday, so not bad. A little short week.
Well, I really appreciate it. I know I try to. I know we had to reschedule once because sometimes you have to go out of town, or out of the country sometimes. So I'm glad that we were. But I was like, you know what? We'll be persistent on it. Sometimes I forget, but we got you back, and I'm glad. And that's really just a casual thing. If you want to show some books here in a little bit, you can. Sure. We might, when some people show up here, they can ask questions if they wish. I tried to let everybody know, but I know there's another show going on, but it's kind of hard enough to schedule a show on here that's comic related, because there's a lot of people in the community that do shows all through the week. So,
that's great.
But if not, they can watch the replay. And also, I'll do that new thing they have where you can. That'll really low. Where you okay. I'm having trouble with my words tonight. The collaboration link. You know how they have a collaboration link now on YouTube. I'll send it to you if you want that.
Absolutely. Right. Absolutely.
I kind of stole this first. The only real question I asked to try to get the party started is something I kind of stole from watching Only Slabs. Rob, what is your comic book origin story, right?
Right.
So I'm assuming you didn't get bit by a radioactive spider. You didn't experiment on anything, get turned into a swamp monster. Nothing when did you get into comics? And what was it that attracted you to it? Also, I guess it's a double question.
So it's about 3 years old. This is not my original copy. Let me grab it. I think my mom bought me this, but my elderly aunt used to read this to me when I was like about 3. But it was the Hulk Treasury.
Oh,
This was like the first thing I had when I was probably about 3 years old, and of course I didn't know how to read yet, but it made me want to learn how to read because I loved it so much, and I loved the Hulk so much, and I immediately when I was young I liked monsters and Godzilla and Battle of the Planets and Space Giants and Ultraman and I was just into that stuff. And so it was kind of natural that I would like comic books because it's a lot of the same kind of stuff. And I gravitated toward comics really early. And hey, Missing Mars. And I kind of learned to read off that, like some of the records, like the records with the book.
Yeah.
I had a Captain America one, and I had Planet of the Apes, and so I think that's kind of how I learned to read it. I learned to read really early, and just started reading on comics, and I started collecting really I would say in kind of middle school, like, probably around maybe about 12 years old is when I was collecting, that's Claremont run of X-Men,
Oh yeah.
and, I was fanatical about it. In fact, I did an episode on my channel about, like, the one time I was grounded and my mom I was forbidden. I was not allowed to go to the drugstore to buy that month's X-Men. Like, and it was like my ADD, it was like freaking me out. And I I wound up like going to school and I like trade my friend Brian. I like gave him like 3 comics. If he would go buy that new issue and bring it to me, I gave him like 3. And so I could it was X-Men number 171 where Rogue joins the X-Men.
Oh yes. One of my
So
favorite issues.
I like I like had it like stuffed in my trapper keeper and made it home and snuck up to my room and then on my bed was sitting a copy of it. My mom went and bought it for me. So
Oh,
I felt terrible, but it was but yeah, that was kind of I used to collect X-Men and then whatever had the most characters, back in that day. And then when I was a teenager, really got into a lot of the um I don't know, like a lot of the independent stuff. Cerebus, I'm a big Cerebus fan,
yeah.
always have been. Um, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles at the time, and The Crow, and a lot of the indie stuff. And then later on in high school is when uh, all the big stuff dropped. Watchmen dropped, Dark Knight dropped. Uh, just Killing Joke, just stuff, Mouse, all of this stuff that was like just kind of blew my mind
Yeah.
and kind of showed what comics could be. And so I really collected a lot of that stuff. And then eventually I joined the military. I got rid of most of my comics, and then got out. I still had some, and I really jumped back in kind of beginning of the pandemic is when I really started to jump back in, buying a lot more stuff, buying a lot of like treasury editions
Yeah.
and trade paperbacks and stuff like that, kind of
Yeah.
reading up on stuff that I had missed.
Kind of dabbling to start out with. Yeah. Like, yeah.
Yeah, and then I would say maybe 2.5 years ago is when I really uh, jumped into the deep end and started getting into Golden Age, and that's
That
my,
is the deep end. Yeah, for sure.
that's been what I've been into here for the last at least 2.5 years, where I've been focusing on pre-code horror, pre-code crime, and now Brazilian comics is like my new big thing.
Yeah, I saw that Only Slabs episode. That was amazing. Some of that stuff. And what's great about it? It's not just collecting. You're also like saving this stuff from being destroyed. Basically,
Yeah.
a lot of it. It's amazing. I've been trying to get a little bit of gold. Now I'm more on I don't know. I'm kind of on a budget most of the time, so but like I'm still in that phase. I guess it's the honeymoon phase. Where you're trying to get all the old comics, and I'm reading all these new comics. Although I'm kind of disillusioned with the new comics a little bit. But I was just going to go back to where you're talking about X-Men. That's my favorite storyline was when she joins the X-Men. And then, of course, the next issue is when Logan's getting ready to go get married in Japan.
Right.
And the X-Men come over for the wedding. They get kidnapped. The only one left that he can depend on is Rogue. And that's just like she's just thrown right into the fray immediately. And she ends up saving Logan's life, and he's like gets a little respect for her there because the cover of 171 is like, "Welcome to the X-Men, Rogue. I hope you survive the experience," because they all hated her, And
well, she'd been evil, like
yeah. And I told Claremont about that. Like, let's talk about meeting your heroes, dude. I was like, you were that skit on Saturday Night Live where Farley was interviewing like Paul McCartney. I felt like that when I was talking to him. You know what I mean? Like, do you remember that?
That was great.
Yeah. But we got a question here from Rad.
Hey, Rad.
What movie or show from your childhood do you think helped start your comic hobby?
I was into Japanese stuff before anybody was into kind of Japanese stuff. It was all for me. It was like Speed Racer, Space Giants, Ultraman, Spectreman, kind of those like old where it was like live action, kind of guys fighting in rubber suits, kind of that kind of stuff. And then cartoons. Like I was into loved Speed Racer, and and I think like everybody, I did love the old like 70s Spider-Man,
Yeah.
and I loved even those really super old, like when I was really young, the old Marvel superheroes things where it was like, they were like not even moving. It was just like some Kirby
There's
art, and it was
they
like
had a
their
cardboard cut out, their mouth
yeah,
moved. Yeah.
yeah, where yeah, it was like Thor, and Captain America and Hulk, and yeah,
What was
those
great
were
about that is
those
they
were
used the
cool.
original Kirby art for that too.
Oh yeah, it was all yeah Kirby art, and they would just like kind of move it across the screen.
It was, I mean, like by the day standard, but like there's something like kind of, I don't know, romantic about that though.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
it's the same for me with the cartoons. It was probably mainly for me was like He-Man and G.I. Joe and Transformers, and
Those are good too.
I think Sunbow did the G.I. Joe cartoon, and but that's like my dad would bring. That's how I got into it. He'd bring back comics from the Army base, and so he'd bring G.I. Joe and Star Wars. So it's from a long time. But yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of people. What do you think got involved because of like cartoons or movies or something? They started reading comics, kind of.
Yeah,
I do. About the Japanese stuff. Did you remember the Shogun Warriors toys?
Yeah, I had them. Yeah,
Yeah. I had the Godzilla, but I lost the fist. I don't know whatever happened to it. The little fist fires off. Nobody ever finds
everybody
that.
was the fist, and the lever would break for the flame tongue. Yeah, that would break on the back
every time.
Yeah, that was a cool one. I had the Godzilla, and I had Mazinga, and my sisters used to like roller skate in the kitchen, and they would roller skate with them because they had wheels on their take them around roller skating in the stupid kitchen with those.
Oh man, yeah, we I don't know. I wish if I as a good example here, I found some of these in my basement. If I'd known, I took better care of. I don't even know what this guy is. I think it's some kind of like, remember the cartoon droids from Star Wars? Well, I looked at him and look at his hand and see if you can tell me, if you can give a guess as what me and my cousin were trying to do with these figures. We were setting them on fire.
Oh man,
yeah, blackened right there and melted. So yeah, we got Missing Mars saying here. He said, I started on comics in 1975 as a 10-year-old. No movie, TV influence.
Well, that's good.
That's cool.
I really think the main thing, was my elderly aunt reading this Treasury edition to me. That's really what got me, wanting to read, and I wanted to read comics. Like I didn't, I read, later on I got into books, but early on I just wanted to be able to read my comic books. That's why I learned to read at such a young age.
Yeah. And my mom would do that to me. She would read to me, and I remember this. And that's what's funny. You were talking about those record books. Before I was a strong reader, I had like The Hobbit. I don't know if you remember The Hobbit, the animated movie, and it had like a record. You play with it, and I remember I would get scared when he'd go into Mount Doom and everything. Yeah. And
Gollum was terrifying in that.
Yeah, it's just, and then like I was probably watching stuff at that age I shouldn't have been watching, like Wizards. If you remember that. Yeah. And,
Wizards was cool.
Metal. Although I was told not to watch heavy metal, but I watched it anyway. So, all right.
Yeah, I got a little Mickey's Big Mouth here.
All right. I wasn't paying attention to it. But I don't know. So you said you got back into the pandemic. I kind of did too. Like, I'll give you a small example. My uncle passed away like 5 years before the pandemic, and my stepdad got all his comics because this is not worth anything. He had like all the hardcover collected editions of the EC Comics. Like I'm talking like everything, all the way down to Romance.
Yep.
The Two Fisted Tales, Vault of Horror. And Mom said, I need to get this out of the house. You can sell it. I said, okay. I said, I was like reluctant. I was like, no. And then I started helping her sell it. And though now there's a couple of things I regret selling. They had this big black Treasury book with a gold EC logo on it. You open it up, it's signed by fucking Bill Gaines and Wally Wood and like 12 other people.
Wow.
Yeah. And I sold it. She says, I want to sell it. So, but I got her a good price for it. I wish I hadn't sold it now though. But
yeah, that would be cool to have.
So what was that when you started getting into Golden Age? What was it? Just you like the art, or did you just like the history of it, or all of that?
Yeah, I mean it I'd always liked it. You'd always, even on like, even when I was young, you'd see pictures. Hey, how are you doing? You'd always see like on the wall, you'd see like EC stuff hanging and stuff. But at that age, I was just into superhero stuff. Um, but yeah, I kind of I really think the bug bit me at a convention where I started seeing some things that I really liked. But then during the pandemic, I really started watching Alan's channel, Comic Collector Geek,
Yeah.
and the stuff he and Steven Steppo would show, and I would see things I'd be like, that is amazing, and uh, I really liked different parts of it. First, I liked that there was this dichotomy of like this is Leave It to Beaver time, and they have these insane, crazy, violent, gory covers.
Yeah.
In the same time when like it was like this contrast that was happening in the world, and it blew my mind, like some of the stuff that I was like I had no idea that they were and there's a part to it where I think I really like I think when you get into a lot of that older stuff, a lot of people I think are history buffs, and you kind of like start to like the
Yeah.
history of the comics, and you start to learn about Seduction of the Innocent and Frederick Wortham and Bill Gaines' testimony and the Senate hearings in 1954, and how the golden age ends as soon as the comics code comes into play, and all of it ends like this whole era of these really cool, like wild, weird stuff that I like, and I always liked. I always liked monster stuff, even when I was a kid. That it's just like gone. It's like wiped away, and suddenly you got like Rainbow Batman, like or Superman turns into a mermaid and the shit. And I was like, man, like it like it was because there's like an overcorrection, in the early Silver Age, I think, and I was kind of like I was fascinated by it, and also I really was like somebody needs to preserve that stuff. Somebody that like isn't just like out to make a buck. Somebody who like people need to take care of these things. So that was kind of like the other part to it is like there's only 20 of that or that they know of, or 30 of that, like somebody needs to take care of that stuff. And so that's kind of what led me on that, was just my own fascination with like, monster, goofy stuff like that I always had. And then there's this kind of historical aspect to it, and learning about the history of these books and what was happening at the time. And then this other part, like, man, somebody's got to take care of these. They're not very many of them left, and we need to have these in the hands of people who are going to preserve them.
Yeah. And that's another thing that's tragic about that is they piled this up and burned it. Because basically the government was looking for something else to get everybody to freak out about at the time, right? And so they already had the Red Scare. It's about the same time, if I'm thinking right, because I follow a lot of history too. And let's be honest, Bill Gaines probably didn't help his case too much the way he talked to him. But
it was the worst testimony you could get.
And so a lot of stuff was lost to time. And if you can find something, there's probably still some stuff out there. We just don't know where it's at. Like they found a Superman 1. But like, wouldn't you also say though that was like after World War II, like the people wanting superhero stuff kind of died down, and it was more like the pulp stuff, like true crime, horror stuff, stuff like that, romance novels. They did romance comics, what I meant, and like because Captain America ended, like the original time of Captain America, they just like, well, nobody wants it no more, and then it got to this point, like you're saying, it's the wild stuff. Like you see some of these covers. So that true crime, it's not just EC that did it either. We got Punch Comics, all these other comics, and Atlas, and some pretty wild covers, like decapitations, like the people rise from the dead, and like it kind of killed like the horror genre for years, didn't it? I mean, really.
What it did first is it killed superhero books. Like these were outselling superhero books exponentially 10, 20 times more than Batman, Superman, or anything at that time when these were very popular.
Yeah.
And then it's suddenly gone. It's over with. And then there's this resurgence of the superhero books in the early Silver Age. And So yeah, I think it was a really interesting time, and yeah, I think people coming back from the war, they they didn't want to read war comics right then. I mean that was pretty
I don't
obvious,
blame 'em. Yeah, I don't blame them.
and they weren't like into like like the stuff that had been Captain America and the uh uh various like the what was his name uh uh Black Terror,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
these kind of things. A lot of that kind of died out, and there was this rise to this. Then there was like Atomic Age, where Korean War. You did see a resurgence of war comics then,
Yeah.
because you're in another conflict, I guess. But yeah, people were wanting more gritty stuff, and I think there's also I think Wortham was probably right that a lot of this was appealing to teenage boys. They but it would have, to me, like that's exactly what I would have wanted, is like somebody's head blowing up or whatever crazy this was.
What's funny about all that though, it's not just like comics, movies, music. What they thought was obscene back then, like like Elvis shaking his hips on the Ed Sullivan Show, right? Oh, we got to censor this guy. This guy's subversive for children. And then you come back to when I was like getting out of high school or into college, Marilyn Manson. I mean, you guys ain't seen nothing yet. You know what I mean? Like, or not just that. Like with movies, like think about movies. Like I review movies on my channel, and like we reviewed Friday 13th Part 7 last weekend. And if you look at that compared to some of the movies out now, like The Terrifier, that's tame. That's like that's not even but back then people were like, oh, we got to watch this or we're going to get an X rating. We won't be able to release in theaters nationwide. And but they had the same thing with Hollywood and the seduction of the innocent thing that happened, the Hays Code, right? Because before the Hays Code, they showed a lot. So if you ever watch these old movies before they had the Hays Code in movies, they're pretty saucy for back in the day.
Sure. It was a thing. There were a lot of things that were going on with comics, and I think I don't think parents knew what was going on. I mean,
No.
that like there was a lot that was kind of wild to me. Like the stuff that I like was mostly like kind of more cartoonish, like where it's like I don't collect like suicide covers. I mean, people who do, totally fine. But I'm not. That's not my thing. Or the drug abuse covers. Like there's the famous one of the guy overdosing. That's not my that's not my wheelhouse. I kind of like the horror. I do like some of the crime too, but the crime is like so over the top and weird, silly to me that it's like, yeah. I mean, that's just like kind of a personal thing. But there was a lot of wild stuff. I mean, I can show you some. I have some wild stuff here if you want to.
Sure.
I pulled out a handful of things, but this is Voodoo #1 from 1952. So this is it has interior art by Matt Baker. The cover's not Matt Baker, but this is from Ruben Blades collection. The actor, he auctioned his collection off a few years ago, and he's made it out in the wild. It's got like a little sticker, Ruben Blades sticker, but yeah, it's this cool voodoo, this weird like zombie guy coming out of the grave, and the people are shocked at it.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I pulled out a handful of different things, but I collect Witch's Tales, the original Witch's Tales from the 50s. This one it's probably the biggest. This is probably the biggest cover out of the Witch's Tales run. I think I've got like 4 left that I don't have. But this is Witch's Tales number 25, and classic decapitation cover, and it's the severed head and the bell, and like Quasimodo's ringing the bell with the head inside of it. Yeah, it's kind of it's one of the ones I think a lot of people know. But yeah, gonna see a little bit better there. But yeah, I always like that one.
Well, if you imagine being a kid and seeing that on the newsstand, you'd be like, "I'm getting that."
Oh yeah. I mean, but even back then, I know my parents would have freaked out if I like brought this. Hey, look at this severed head cover. They'd be like, "What's wrong with you?"
They must not have been paying attention. Like, oh, Johnny's reading his comic, his funny books. That's what my dad always called them too, the funny books, right?
Yeah. I mean, but this one is Witch's Tales 27. It's 1954. But so this was done by Harvey. The Witch's Tales run was kind of a weird thing because Harvey wound up doing like cartoon characters, like later.
Yeah.
But this one's a file copy. So this is a file copy from Harvey. So when you talk about the file copies, like back then, the publishers would keep one or two copies in a literal file cabinet for reference. Like, so if they had to go back and look at artwork, or when they ran an ad, or they needed to check a story or anything, it was like a reference copy that they kept in the office. So this was the file copy that was on hand at Harvey for this specific issue. So, and somebody bury someone alive, which happens from time to time.
Classic trope on these covers, stuff like buried alive or decapitated, or the file copy. Yeah, there's a lot of those. They're usually the most well preserved ones too, because nobody read them.
Yeah, this one isn't. I mean, this one's a 6.0, so I mean, maybe they were thumbing through it quite often, but this one I got recently. It's another one of the big ones in the run. It's Witch's Tales number 22 from 1953. It's a Lee Elias cover, one of the like most I would say he's one of the most prolific artists of that era. But it's the cool zombie train, like all the skeletons and the girls trying to get out. And
that's so cool.
Yeah. So yeah, this is the most recent one I got in the run. I just got that a couple months ago. I got so yeah, I'll get into some of the bigger ones. I just pulled kind of stuff that I had in the box right here, but
that's cool. I like to see what people are collecting. It's like that's the main thing we do on the show. It doesn't like I had Easy on here, NYC. We talk about wrestling for 30 minutes, so it just kind of goes wherever we're going to go. I don't care.
Cool. This one, maybe one. I don't know if he's the greatest artist or one of the greatest, but one of the most, I would say, universally loved artists. This is Beware number 10 from 1954, and this is a Frank Frazetta horror cover.
I would think I think he is the greatest artist, of course. I'm biased. I love him.
But yeah, cool. The girl in the red dress, of course, and in distress, and the zombies, and she's wearing her high heels in the graveyard for some reason.
Of course, it's an odd choice, but it's good for a cover. Yeah, I just think I don't know how you can get much better than Frazetta as a artist. Like,
yeah. I would say I've never met anybody who didn't like Frank Frazetta art. I mean, you'll meet people who don't like almost everyone's art. Hey, John. Yeah, it would be weird to me. Like, everybody you can like whoever you like or whatever artists or writers you like, but yeah, if you told me you didn't like Frazetta, I'd be like, huh? You really like comics if you don't like Frank Frazetta?
My mom doesn't like comics at all, but she likes Frank Frazetta because I just remember that. I don't know if you've seen the documentary Fire and Ice.
Yes. Yeah.
And it was amazing though. This man had a stroke, and he started drawing with he learned to draw with his left hand. I don't know if people understand how hard that is. That's not easy. And Boris Vallejo's fine too. He was a little bit more like bodybuilder art to me. I think but I just think Frazetta could do anything. He would. And do you watch Frazetta Girls? Sarah Frazetta, she does those shows. Yeah.
Wow, holy smoke! You talk about a good-looking girl. Good gravy.
Yeah.
And she's great. Like she does all the, and she's like I think it's her and her partner. I don't think they're married, but they curate the Frazetta Museum in Florida. Yeah. She does great shows. I tried to get her on our show, but didn't respond. She probably gets invites all the time. But
I had who was it? I asked that's before I realized you dumbass, they probably have reps, so you know what I mean, like Jenny Prison. And I was thinking, I wonder why she didn't respond. I know why she didn't respond, because she's a good looking girl and she's on the internet, and they get all kinds of scumbags probably messaging them. So
but there are like Suspiria. Suspiria is like one of the sweetest people you could ever meet. Like She's coming on our show. She's we're trying to set up. We don't know if it's going to be the 31st or the 14th, Valentine's Day. But yeah, Suspiria is super good looking, and she's completely sweet. Or we were talking about Sakesha Ray backstage.
Yeah,
Another very good looking girl, and nicest. Like I said, since she's been on our show, we're friends. I talk to her a couple times a month. She's very responsive. I mean, it's like a thing. I mean, Jenny Frizen's really, really, really big now. I think that's the thing.
That's the thing. And like when somebody that gets that status, it's like, if you're going to contact somebody like that, or like McFarlane or Jim Lee or somebody, or let's say even Spirit, you got to have, there's a rep probably, right? They probably have somebody like I think I've heard Jenny Frizen's husband does a lot of that for her because she doesn't like dealing with people. You can tell that, like, I think she gets a little anxious. Like a lot of these, we know how artists are. Some are introverts, right?
Sure.
Like I remember Peach Mavoko almost had a nervous breakdown with all the way the crowd was like fighting to get to her. First time at New York Comic Con is probably the reason she won't go back.
She seemed very shy to me.
Very shy, and she prefers her husband to do the talking. You can tell.
Yeah, I mean, she seems very introverted. When I've never met her, but she seems that way. And another one, Tula Lote, seems very introverted to me too, and she's fantastic. She's another one of my absolute favorites.
Speaking of that, I just got one of her books in.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, it's a Superman cover.
Very cool. Oh, that's Tula Lote?
Yeah.
Very cool. I've got a piece of original art from her. She did a Christopher Walken from the Dead Zone.
Cool.
It's in the other room, but yeah, she is fantastic. Like she's gonna blow up. She absolutely will.
Yeah. There's another one that's been kind of like that, like an Eon. A lot of these are there. Shabina, I think it's we were talking about them earlier.
Yeah.
And I know you're going to have you're not going to have her on, but you're going to have a guy that works with her on, right?
Adam is the U.S. representative, an agent for Sveta Shabina, and our friend now Andrew Tarasoff, who we had on our show, and yeah, so that'll be this Saturday. He'll be on, and he's going to debut a brand new piece of Sveta Shabina art, never before seen. It just arrived in the country. He's gonna show it on our channel for the first time. So that, or maybe it's digital. It might be digital, but it's gonna be the very first time anybody's seen it. He just received it from Sveta, so that'll be kind of cool.
That's amazing. Oh, I forgot to mention about when we were talking about Frazetta. He started something, I think, that because I watched this. I don't know if you watch Comic Tropes, but he talks about. He had that video. I don't know if you saw the video yesterday. He talked about, look, a lot of Kirby, they gave away his art. Like when he would draw, and all this stuff was lost. Sometimes they never got it back. And in other cases, there was I can't remember who I was watching an interview with an artist, and he said that they would just me and my buddy were watching that. Me and my friend Big Jeff, Jeff.
Yes.
I can't remember what artist it was, and he was talking. That was Larry Hama. He was talking about working with these guys like Wallace Wood and like Joe Cooper, and they were using they didn't think it was going to be worth anything. They were using old pages to stop the leaky floor, put it on the leaky floor or something.
Wow.
And can you imagine that? Just all that stuff lost.
I heard that about Wrightson. I heard Wrightson used to he wouldn't like some of his stuff. He would throw it away. And the other people would be they'd be going and grabbing it because it was so great. And
they would give it away to kids too. There's a lot of kids got stuff. And he says, and they probably, he says one of them was coloring on it on some of his art. And I'm wow. To think about that, but the thing it's Frazetta did. I'm taking the long route. I know. Sorry, Chonko.
No, it's all right.
Frazetta was smart. He started doing it. He says, "You know what? I own the painting. You don't own the painting. You can make copies of it or whatever you want, but I own the paintings." And I thought that was a brilliant move. Yeah. Because look what it paid off lately. Because you saw, was it the guitarist from Metallica, Kirk Hammett? They just auctioned off a presenting painting for millions of dollars.
Oh yeah. So there have been a few that recently the big Frazetta paintings have been, they're going for huge money.
Absolutely. It's just so I think he was thinking ahead to that. I think that might have been you start that, and you have the Atlas comics that came out in the 70s. Was I know everybody wants to credit Image Comics as the first ones to be no, we're not working for one of the big two anymore. Although I would argue Image is one of the big three at this point. But like Atlas, and then I would have been presented in there, even though he didn't work for anybody. Like he just was hired. But I mean, the artist trying to be independent of the company they work for. I don't know. I don't know if that makes any sense. Sometimes what I say makes sense. Sometimes it don't. I used to smoke a lot of weed.
Well, and the most independent was Dave Sim with Cerebus. He not only did he, I mean, he did everything himself. He wrote, he drew, he lettered, he created his own company. He owned the company that was published, and he did that. Only Gerard did like backgrounds for him, but he did that alone, uninterrupted for 30 years.
Yeah.
Nothing like that. Nobody's ever done anything close. Like for an independent comic, like Spawn, passed up his record of 30 consecutive years of an independent title. But even McFarlane wasn't doing the whole thing, not that entire run, not even close.
I tell you that he was like, it was on Cartoons Kayfabe. Like, I guess it was before Ed, passed away, and he's like, so that's like 3 years ago. And he was saying the same thing. He goes, look, if he wanted to keep doing it, he would still be doing it. He says, you have to admire somebody that said, I'm going to do this for 300 issues, and that's it. And he did. He quit. He stuck to it. He could have kept going, but he didn't. So I kind of admire that.
Oh yeah, I mean he's insane, but I mean he's brilliant too. I mean, like when you read Cerebus, it's like that's like nothing else. There's no comic like that. That's like, I mean, it's like it's not something that you could just like say, oh, I'm going to pick up a Cerebus issue because you won't know what's going on. It's just like, I mean, it is like, that's wild. Yeah, it's a wild story.
And what's funny that Spawn broke the record was because Cerebus was in a Spawn book at one point. Remember?
It was. Yep. And a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle book too.
Yep.
And Flaming Carrot. I think he was in a Flaming Carrot book.
Yeah. But I don't know. There's just so many stories like that. That's another thing. I don't know if you agree or not, but there's just so many interesting stories and interesting characters that were in this medium, writers and artists. And I just love listening to all their stories. I could watch. I mean, I'm subscribed to like 2 or 3 probably subscribed to like 3 or 4 streaming services. I know I got Paramount and Disney, but you know how you get so many of them, you forget. But I would sit here and like, we'll just watch YouTube footage of like Jim Steranko talking about something, or one of these old artists, or Bernie Wrightson, and like I remember George Perez when he died, I was actually depressed, because these people have been part of your life. I mean, maybe I'm being a little melodramatic, but it's like I said with like meeting Claremont. You meet somebody for the first time that like your comic books helped me get through days when you know what I mean? The same thing with Larry Hama with me. And that I didn't even want to go out of the house, or I was having a bad day, or I was being bullied at school, or whatever was going on. And you could always escape in the comic books. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes any sense, but
it makes 100%. I would say anybody who nerds out about anything understands completely, because that's what happens is you retreat to your whatever your kind of fantasy thing is, and that I absolutely did that. And in fact, like a lot of my heroes were like indie guys. So like, at Chicago Comic-Con, like early 2000s or something, I met Tim Vigil, and I'm a huge Tim Vigil fan, and he big timed me. He like kind of blew me off, and I was like the only one coming to his table, and he was like doing a remark or something, and I walked by. I was like, "Oh, Tim Vigil, I'm a huge Faust fan. I love Grips," and I was like going on, and he goes, "Thanks." He goes right back to it, just totally blows me off. I was like, "Oh, all right."
Wow. Okay.
It sucked.
He probably like me. I was there rehearsing what I'm going to say to him when I talk to him. I'm going to go up here, and at least I did. Like with Claire, but I don't know. Claremont was not as dismissive, but like, I mean, he's heard it all. Like when I was up there talking about Rogue, you know what? But you know what's interesting talking about him to him was when he really got to talking was not when I started bringing up the X-Men, but when I told him I liked Alien, Predator, the Deadliest of the Species. He's like, oh, yeah. He said, I had fun writing that. He goes, they actually let me create my own character, and I got to own the rights to it. I said, oh, okay. So, and that's why I like to get when I go to Cosmodown, I'm thinking about just, I don't know, like getting books like maybe they haven't seen a lot. Like there's a trade paperback. I think Adam Hughes did the interior art, like when he was younger, and Claremont wrote it. It's a Star Trek book. And I thought I'd take something like that. It's kind of like you might get them to talk about something they wouldn't normally talk about. I don't know. But it's like if I ever meet Hama, I want him to sign Bucky O'Hare #1.
That would be wild. He might have never signed that book.
Oh, he might, but he might not. I don't know. But and of course, there's going to be a lot of G.I. Joe. But if I ever meet him, he's going to get carpal tunnel after I get through with him. So
yeah,
I pay it, I guess.
It's great when you get to it does. I was at C2E2 last year, and some of the lines, Claremont's line was, all the way wrapped around, and Jenny Frizen's line was huge stuff. But there were a lot of other people that were almost ignored. I walked up, Jeff Darrow,
oh my
sitting
God.
there and just like talking to two people, like at this couple, and I walked up and I was listening, and he said hi, and I grabbed a couple Shaolin cowboy things from the sign, and he's talking, and he's like talking all like the friendliest guy, and he's telling us the greatest story about how Frank Miller hated Mobius, and like Jeff Darrow's like good friends with both of them, right? And he's talking about he's hanging out and having lunch with Frank Miller, and Mobius calls, and he's like, oh yeah, I'll come over. And Frank's like, no, don't do this. And so they all got together, they were talking, and they had this lunch, and whatever. And by the end of the lunch, Frank Miller and Mobius became very good friends, and they were very good friends, for the rest of Mobius's life. So it was funny for him, doing the whole thing where he's talking to Mobius on the phone, and Frank's going, no. He doesn't want him to come over. I'm laughing my ass off, man. It was really, really funny.
I always want to meet Darrow because that work he did with Frank Miller of the Hard Boiled.
Oh yeah,
I absolutely love that. And the thing about Darrow is you can look at a Darrow drawing illustration in a comic, and you'll see every time you look at it, you'll see something you didn't see before. There it is. Yeah, I love that book. I've been meaning to go back and get it again. It's just that's just great writing, great, and I think Frank Miller was smart enough to know who to work. He was smart enough to pick who he worked with, right? No,
yeah, but this is that's when I met him.
West Coast Avengers just interviewed him about last month.
He interviewed Jeffrey Darrow.
Yeah, you can look it up on his. He's got a podcast called Direct Edition.
Yeah,
channel. And he had Jeff Darrow, and I think he lives in Japan, or he did.
Really? Yeah, I would love to talk to Jeffrey Darrow again. I at the convention, he was just one of the genuinely nicest people, and really, just sat around having time, and I bought these couple of things, and I was like, hey Jeff, how much for signature? He's like, I don't know, if you're buying it, I'll just sign it. And you sign it, and then he just goes on his own and just does a nice little remark for me, just
that's amazing,
for free.
Well, all those guys are like, I'll tell you what, it was funny, and I went for somebody else and ended up becoming a fan, even though I was a fan of his work anyway, but I wasn't a huge fan. But I became a bigger fan. I was at Heroes Con, and I was going for my friend Cheap Comic Collector, wanted something from Don Rosa, who worked on a lot of stuff.
I love Don Rosa.
And I just knew of him because everybody talked about it, but I didn't know. But then I knew more, but I found out more about it. But when I talked to him, he's like, he goes, well, he says, I said, how much for your signature, sir? He said, oh, I said, I don't charge my signature. He says, you see how these people charging? He kind of leaned in. He said, they're doing it wrong.
Right.
And he said, but if you want to buy one of my prints back here, I will gladly sign it. They're $20. I was like, all right. So I did. I just talked to him, and he's like, and then somebody come by and said, oh, cool, DuckTales. He goes, no, this is not DuckTales. Read the sign. He really took exception to that. And he does. Do not, if you meet him, anybody out there watching, do not call it DuckTales because it's Uncle Scrooge.
Right.
Yeah. But also, like you were talking about, Darryl, nobody really being aligned there, like the same thing with me. I went to Heroes Con, Scotty Young, Jenny Frizen, obviously long lines.
Yeah, huge lines, yeah.
fortunately, I got to Jenny Prison the first day, and I was there like an hour early, so I was like 10th in line. But and then Daniel Warren Johnson, one of the biggest lines there. One of my friends, Flash by Night, he waited for like an hour and a half in this line to get the signatures. Hey, we got Jeff here. Hey, Jeff.
Yo, Jeff.
What I was going to say was that we walked by Klaus Janson, and there was nobody in line. I'm like, what? I feel like looking around and yelling at everybody, why are you people not over here?
Yeah.
You know, because I don't think people realize that, like, I don't think Frank Miller's stuff would have looked like what it looked like if it wasn't for Lynn Varney and Klaus Janson.
Yeah.
You know,
it's unbelievable. Like when you walk by, like, you know, the different places where maybe people just don't know. I mean, people just don't know Jeffrey Darrow, maybe, what's his name? I keep saying Dan DeCarlo, but not the other Archie artist. I'm just making fun of people not knowing him, and I can't remember his name. Dan Parent. Yeah, Dan Parent had nobody there.
One of the sweetest guys.
Absolutely.
I talked to him for like 30 minutes.
Very nice.
I bought a print from him, and it made me a bigger fan of him, and now I'm more into Archie because of it.
Yeah.
Did you see the book that I got? I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I shouldn't show this book because I'm like, oh, Matt, you're just showing this to everybody now. It's but yeah, the same thing with Arthur Adams, by the way. There was like only 5 people in that line, and I'm like, Arthur Adams is like a freaking genius.
He's a legend.
Yeah, Jeff likes Jeff Darrow. Yep. Shaolin Cowboy. Yeah, that's pretty. I forgot about Shaolin Cowboy. Amazing. Well, I won't show all of them. I don't know if I'll get it out unless you want me to, but I got this book from a claim sale, and when they opened it up, I was wondering why the bidding was going crazy. It's just a who book, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's signed on the inside by Alex Savluck, probably said his name wrong. Pat Broderick, Carmine Infantino, Murphy Anderson, Bob Smith, Walt Simonson, Dave Cockrum, Arthur Adams, Brent Anderson, Dickie O'Connell, Joe Staten. It's signed twice by George Perez.
Good gravy.
Yeah,
those are some legends.
I know. A lot of them are not even with us anymore. So I just thought that was a cool idea that whoever thought that. Like, it kind of makes me feel bad. I don't know. Like, I guess, you know, when people pass away, I guess they just, it's kind of like with my uncle. It kind of made me sad in a way because I was like, you know, all these memories he had and all this fun they had collecting stuff, and then it's just going to get sold off to somebody else.
Yep.
But I don't know.
Absolutely happening.
Yeah. It's going to happen, though. It happens to all of us, so you might as well be ready for it.
Right. You know, this is one of the things, like, you know, I've heard people talk about how they don't care about their comic values, and they only collect because they like to read, and this, which is fine, you know, but, you know, they'll say, I'm never going to sell a comic. And I'll say, well, someone's going to, you know, maybe it'd be when you're dead, but somebody's going to have to sell that thing. And, you know, like, if you're not paying attention to the condition of it and taking care of it, and, you know, understanding, you know, that some of these have, you know, certain value. I mean, it might not be screwing you, but it is screwing somebody if you're not keeping track of that stuff. You need to keep track of that stuff. So I'll get off my soapbox. Everybody can collect however you want. There's room in this hobby for everybody. Do whatever you want. That's just my advice.
I like to keep everything at least logged. You know what I mean? Like, so I know what I got, and like, I probably, if I don't have any kids, so I'd probably go to my nephew, because he kind of likes comics, but or like if something happened to me and my mom has all these books to do, at least she'll know what she has and like what it costs. Like,
that's the important part is, you know, that, you know, something happens to you, somebody, you know, they'd be able to get something for it. It's not just going to go in the garbage, or they're not going to take it to your local comic shop and say, hey, give me $200 for the, you know, or something like that.
Yeah.
But hey, got some other stuff you want to see, or?
Yeah.
All right, here's another one of the big ones. Shock Suspense Stories number 6. The cultist. Cultist with the
iconic cover art.
Yeah, big one. Yeah. And then we were talking about the Senate hearings and the when they had the their grilling Bill Gaines and one of the senators like held up a comic. He's like, "Do you think this is appropriate for children?" And he's going, "Well, it's okay. You can't really see the blood. And blood's like, yeah. Well, the comic he showed is Crime Suspense Stories number 22. And then the next day, that was on the cover of the New York Times of the senator showing that comic. And then the quote from Bill Gaines, and this is Crime Suspense Stories number 22.
Yeah, that's probably one of the most sought after EC books, would you not say?
Yeah, this is one of the big, pre-code books. I think the stuff that like people really chase once you start going down that path. This to me was my grail. This was the one that I really wanted more than anything. So now, of course, that shifts, and now there are other things I want. But this when I got into this was the one I chased first. So,
and that's the one, like we were talking about the seduction of the innocent thing. It's in those hearings. That's the book. That's the book you think of in my head when I think about it. That's one of the books I think of. That one, and there's another one.
Yep.
Yeah. What's Jeff say here? He says that's a horror cover. I can't get this thing to work. There we go. Sometimes StreamYard's a pain in the ass. All right. We got Missy Mars. Says this book single-handedly created the Comics Code Authority. Yes, it did.
It was the final nail, and it was the final nail that ended the Silver Age, you could say too.
Yeah. Unfortunately, and like I don't, and what
end of the golden age. I'm sorry, somebody's gonna bloody action me. Wait a second, what are you talking about? I misspoke, guys.
Yeah, you had an interesting video about this too, about some of the Silver Age stuff. Because they kind of overcorrected, right? When you say a lot of them,
people hated that video, man. Like some people thought it was good, but a lot of people hated it. A lot of people hated that video. But just in my own defense on that, I was on Biggie's channel, and we were backstage talking, and everybody was talking about the Silver Age, and I made a comment where I was like, I don't know, I think a lot of the Silver Age, like the big Silver Age keys, are overrated, and everybody's like, what? Oh my God, what are you saying? I'm like, I just think they're overrated. I think some of them are not that good, and I'm like, I know they're iconic, I know they're worth a lot of money, and I know they're like keys. But I think a lot of them are kind of stupid. And everybody's like, wait, what? Oh my God. And then I was like, well, wait, hold on. And then it occurred to me that it was like you're not allowed to criticize the Silver Age of comics. You're not allowed to do that. You can criticize like one book maybe, but you can't like say, you can't ever, you can say almost anything, but you can't criticize the Silver Age of comics. And then that made me make a video criticizing the Silver Age of comics. And some people went wild. Like I was receiving like DM, like one person who was a good friend of mine. I thought, like, I don't talk to that person anymore because of that video. He got like really, really angry about it, about comic books, which is weird. But
that's kind of weird. But
yeah,
look, I don't know. My opinion is this: like, I think that's one of the reasons. Though I think DC kind of overcorrected more than Marvel. Marvel wasn't really a thing in Silver Age, but like, I think that's why Marvel was whipping their ass for a while, was because like, now I didn't go too far. It was still kind of like when you read some of the, let's be honest, some of Stan Lee's writing doesn't really translate to nowadays. But AJSS Brooklyn, what I'm saying is, with like having characters like the Black Panther and the X-Men, who was kind of like, his like way of talking about civil rights. DC was really kind of out of touch there for a while. They were like doing like Rainbow Batman and all this crazy shit, and like Marvel was trying a little something different. And like, I don't know, I was joking about this the other day because I know DC's kind of on top right now. I thought about also making a video that might make me some enemies. Chonko, I was going to make the headline, "Why Marvel is better than DC Comics," just to like aggravate people. But not that I mean.
No, there are some people who take it personally. I started messing around about it too. Like I made T-shirts out of it. Like, I made T-shirts that say "Chonko hates your your Silver Age keys," and people even started getting pissed about that too. But I was goofing around most of it. Most of it I was goofing around with and trying to make some points and just trying to say that you can criticize anything. Basically, is what I was.
You stirred up the hornet's nest. Is what you ended up.
I did stir the pot, and it did. It was. Yeah, some people saw for what it was, that it was I was trying to make a point, and I was goofing around a little bit, and then and maybe yeah.
Yeah, I agree, Jeff. I mean, look, I have people that do not like Frank Miller. They think that it was all Klaus Janson, and maybe, I mean, Klaus did help him, but like, you're never going to get me to say that, though. You know what I mean? Like Frank Miller, I grew up on Frank Miller. I'm and not just that is his writing is, you know, even if you criticize his art, which it has, I will say it does not look like it used to look. But I would argue this too, though. He was drawing like that when Sin City came out. So I don't know that if that's really an argument, but
right. I mean, you go back to Ronin. You go back to Ronin. Go back to the covers of Lone Wolf and Cub. That's all Miller.
Yeah, and like I don't know. I do get a little emotional about it. I try not to, but like when I see people just straight up trash him, and I'm sitting there going, "Do you know what this man did? Like for Batman? Like if it was not for him, Daredevil wouldn't even be a thing. They were going to cancel Daredevil."
Yeah.
So like I just like now, but I'm not going to like say I'm not your friend anymore, Chonko, or I'm not your friend, Missy Mars, because you don't agree with me.
Silly.
It's not even like that important. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, right? Yeah, Jim. I agree. That Ronin art is. I love that series. I got some from Acclaim, so I haven't got it yet.
Yeah, but yeah, Jason. I did. I if you haven't seen my channel, I recorded a song called "Dirty Rotten Comic Flipper," and it's yeah. I mean, if you don't like swearing, maybe don't listen to that one. But
check that out.
Yeah, yeah.
We could watch it if you want. I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, it's not great. I mean, it's like my old punk rock band. Like if you go to my videos, the intro, that's me with my old punk rock band. I'm singing and doing the Chonko song at the beginning of the video. But yeah, it's just like it's goofing around, but yeah, it was making fun of people who both people who flip comics and people who hate people who flip comics. It's making fun of both of those because I thought both were both act very silly. Like they get really, you know, like the people who are going and grabbing a whole stack of comics to, you know, like, you know, so nobody gets one, you know, because they're gonna go flip them. That's garbage. And then the people are like, I don't believe anybody should sell comics. So that's another thing. So I just made a song making fun of both of those groups.
It's always one extreme or the other, right? You shouldn't sell anything, or like they're like, and then you have the people that like want to sell, like they're going to buy like 10 copies of every book, speculating on it. And
both extremes are weird to me.
And the worst is like, dude, I saw this video of this guy at Target, and this dude was buying all the Pokemon stuff out, just throwing it in his cart. And this guy was filming him, and he said, Jesus Christ, man, save some for the kids. That guy turned around, did not miss a beat, and said, fuck them kids.
Oh my God.
Wow.
That's a spicy stance. Maybe don't take that stance. Maybe that's not the right one to take. You don't want to be known on the internet as that guy.
I don't know. And like, I couldn't do that. And I know there's a lot of like, and sometimes like I'll tell you a good point. Like the FOMO, it gets out of hand. Like right now, like look, I love Absolute Batman, but there's an Absolute Batman issue that's not even out yet, and people are trying to sell it for $10 to $12 right now.
I'm fully on sell Absolute Batman. Like I've sold the Absolute Batman stuff that like I had some slabbed. I've sold those. I have some other stuff that I'm going to sell. So I think the prices are crazy for the amount that are out there and the amount that are in high grades and I would sell Absolute Batman. I'll sell your Absolute Batman. I'll come to your house and sell your Absolute Batman. Okay. That's how much I'm on a sell for Absolute Batman at the moment. And I know people love it. And I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I just don't think these prices are going to hold. I can't see. I don't understand how a book that new where there's so many of them people are selling like a 9.8 for like $350 or something.
Yeah, I know some people argue that because it's just desirable, people want it, but like there's also so many of them, it's going to be like it's. I think it's going to have a value to it, but I don't know if it's going to stay at this price. Like Yeah, that's a good point. The Spear stuff kind of got cheaper too because of all the stuff coming out. The more that comes out, and like
it's saturated. The market is a bit saturated for sure with Spears. I love Mark Spears, but I
do too. But that will hold value is like when people didn't catch on it like right away, right? Like the number 1, number 2, a lot of the early stuff, and like the Kickstarter stuff, because there's a more of a rarity to it. Yeah, I remember Immortal Hulk.
Yep.
Yeah, she's like, "Lady Fantastic." I got one hold. Like, do you ever watch Michael Haas's channel?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, he can be he does do the snarky thing all the time about, hey, retirement secured.
Yeah, I know. Well, he had some guys on the channel. I can't remember who it was, but I watched his channel. Like, I can't remember his name all of a sudden. He said he thinks that like Absolute Batman's going to be like the big loser by the end of the year.
That was Ryan at Automatic Comics.
Automatic Comics, and he probably got a lot of hate for that too.
Probably Ryan knows his stuff, right? Ryan's a friend. He came on our channel too. I love what he does. I think he does a really great job with the niche he's created for himself. I think he's really good.
Yeah. Look at Bobby said that the market, like my liver, gets saturated.
I'm with you, Bobby. Bobby and I are cut from the same cloth, I think.
Heck yeah. But yeah, I think it'll still be popular, but like I think maybe, I don't know. But I will tell you the positive thing. We've kind of been negative about it maybe a little bit, but the positive thing, Chonko, is I've seen people that in my personal life that don't even collect comics asking me about Absolute Batman.
That is good.
And like, if anyone get anybody interested in comic books, like there was an interesting conversation going on in Legion of Comics chat today at 2:00. Mm-hmm. Because shout out to Legion of Comics, is a do DC Day on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. Mm-hmm. And there were people who are arguing that like they wish this would go back to being a niche hobby, and like there's people that are fake nerds involved in comics, and I'm sitting there thinking, look, I think if we can get anybody interested in comics, if we don't get younger people interested in comics, this hobby we love is going to die one day.
I agree with that, like 100%. Whatever we can do to get kids interested in comics and get kids interested in reading, like I always say, people who read are more interesting people, and like if we have a whole generation that's not really reading, what is that going to do? I mean, how bad are those kids going to suck? Like when they become adults? No, it would be anything we could do to get kids to read. 100%.
Exactly, fantastic. Yeah, and Jeff's right. Gatekeepers are weirdos. But like also the thing is, one of my pet peeves is I was a big reader as a kid. Like we were talking about this, and you were talking about this earlier about AI, and it's just not affecting art. There's like these apps where you can get like AI narration of literature.
Right.
And like I know we've had books on tape since I was a kid. I remember when they first come out, and they're pretty cool for a road trip because you can't obviously read when you're driving a car. But like I think people rely too much on that when it's to me it's about picking up a book and reading it. Like even if it's a long book, I read it took me like 2 months because it's a big book, but I read the People's History of the United States.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yep.
By Howard Zinn, and I had more joy reading it than listening to a book on tape about it, though. I mean, I don't know what your opinion is on that, but like,
I like people who read. I generally, there's a John Waters quote about if you are dating someone, you go to their house and they don't have any books, don't fuck them. And his whole thing was, we have too many dumb people already, so don't go out there and have sex with dumb people. Just
that's the problem. That like there's more of them than there are smart people, I guess.
Yeah.
And like, what's it? Like I said, just being devil's advocate. Some people are audio processors instead of vision. Well, no, I get that, and I know some people, and they're good for people that may have dyslexia or something that have trouble, and like so, or if you're blind. So
sure, yeah, of course, yeah.
But like the thing that bothers me about, and we're going to sound like the Clint would get off my lawn, old man. And I use my phone a lot, probably more than I should.
Oh, I do for sure. I'm addicted to my phone.
The last time I went somewhere with my mom, and we were at the store, and this woman's pushing her shopping cart, and her like 11 or 12-year-old son's behind her, following her, but he's not even looking up where he's walking. He's just like this, walking right behind her. I'm like, my God. But I don't know. I tell them, like, let's go outside, play in the grass, get dirty. No, I mean, I like audiobooks. I'm not, people are going to get mad at me about that, but like, I'm just saying, I don't know. If you can read. If you can't, it's okay. I listen to the audio like Audible in the car. I'll download like a Hunter S. Thompson book that I like. And if it's got a good narrator, I like when they have a good like narrator. I don't like the AI. I don't know. Well, never mind.
Yeah. I think this is another thing, with AI with YouTube videos. This is another thing I'm concerned about is, there are so many like comic book YouTube channels that are completely AI. Like you'll see top 10 villains in the Marvel universe, and it'll just be like a top 10 thing. And then you'll start to listen to it and you'll start to pick up that it's all AI, and it'll be like
the narration.
Yeah, there's not a person's face. It's just narration, and it'll glitch. It's still not perfect, so it'll glitch. It'll be like such and such comic book sold for $2 million, because it can't decipher like the dollar sign with two. And
I watch a lot of YouTube movie channels, and they'll be like talking about the top 10 box office disasters of 1986, right?
Right. Yes.
And they'll say an actor's name. They'll go, the actor Tom Berenger, or Tom Berenger, but they'll say they'll pronounce it Tom Berenger.
That's right. Yeah, they do that.
Or it'll be like Kevin Bacon.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, okay.
And it's like it's almost convincing until it runs into these glitches. But yeah, basically, if somebody's not like putting a face on something, or it doesn't, you can't hear like subtle mistakes of like then it's almost 100% going to be AI. And yeah, it's all just slop. It's just and it gets hundreds of thousands of views, because it's like the AI modeling the AI algorithm matches it, so it understands it completely right away, filters it out to so many people, and next thing you know, if you're into comic books at all, you have 5 or 6 AI slop videos that are going to be recommended to you, rather than some person who's just hanging out, actually likes to talk about comic books.
Hey Josh, how you doing? Hold on, I was trying to do like 2 things at once and I screwed up. All right, I forgot where I was at. Sorry, Chonko. Well, you got any other books you want to show before we go?
Yeah,
or
we got a couple more. We got time.
Does anybody got any questions?
Like, I think people know, if you saw me on Only Slabs, I like these Brazilian comics. So these Brazilian horror comics. If you don't, these comics are all really, really rare in Brazil. There was a great horror comic kind of a subculture, and but it's a harsh environment where a lot of these things, it was very humid. The staples would rust, they'd fall apart, and it wasn't a big collector culture either. So people just throw these out like newspapers. So and then when they did start collecting comics, they started collecting American comics. So a lot of these, there are very, very few. But this one is called Mundo de Sombras. This is by a guy named Zizo. He was a protege of my favorite artist, a guy named Jaime Cortez. I'll show you a couple of those. But I got this raw, but this is a really high grade for these. But this is Mundo de Sombras number 13. And it's this wild, like this dude with the peg leg, and he's holding this severed leg over this pit of like skeletons.
Oh, that's crazy. That's cool as hell.
Yeah. And this is a 9.0, which is like, for these, you never get them that high. So
how old is that book again?
This is 57.
Oh wow, it'd be a 9.0 like that.
Yeah, but for these Brazilian books, so this is the only known copy of this book. So there's one on census, and there are none that have sold or anything like that. So when you get into these, like when people talk about ghost comics, these Brazilian horror comics, this is real ghost comics. There's some in some of the series where there's gaps where like they might be extinct, where there's zero known copies that exist. Like a couple of these series I'll show you in just a minute. But yeah, this was Zizo. But my favorite,
pause for the super chat. We got a super chat from Josh here.
Hey, Josh.
It won't take a minute. I'll just play a little video for them. You know how it goes. We'll play the one from Blazing Saddles. No, let's play Rodney Dangerfield. No, we'll play Blazing Saddles. I ain't played it in a while.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
All right. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Chonko.
Right.
We had a question too by Jeff. If you want to talk, he said, "You pick up any Ryson lately?"
No, I'd say the last thing I got from Wrightson, I think Jeff already saw. I have a lithograph, a signed and numbered lithograph from the Frankenstein that he did. But no, I haven't got any new like Wrightson books recently. But yeah, I do love Wrightson. But yeah, this is my favorite stuff. Is this Jaime Cortez guy? He was raised in Portugal. He moved to Brazil at 21 years old in the late 40s, and he was a classically trained painter. Did a lot of these painted covers. A lot of these are super 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 rare, but he's like probably my favorite artist on the planet. But this is Otero Negro number 83 from 1956 from La Selva. This is a Pit in the Pendulum cover. So you can see kind of like this wild face and like the rats and the pendulum axe swinging to behead him.
Oh, cool.
And this series was kind of like the most famous one for horror in Brazil, and Jaime Cortez was like the main guy there. And this is one of those series where like when there are certain places where there are gaps in the series where you'll see like this is like number 83, and then you'll get into like the 90s, and there'll be like two that there's none. Nobody has ever graded them. They don't know that they exist. But this is the only one. This is the only known copy of this comic. Then the last one is one I just got. I just bought this off my buddy Josh, International Comics on Instagram. Good dude. But this is called Almanac Sobrenatural. This is the only one. No, it's not numbered. But these almanacs, they would do these and they would reprint like earlier copies. But this there's a book. If you go to my channel, I show it there where he would have models like do the poses and he would paint based upon the models posing. Okay. But yeah, this is from 1955, and it's this Almanac Sobrenatural, and it's this zombie dude, hulking zombie dude over the girl, and like I have a book where there's a black and white photo that he was using of this, and it's both a guy like doing the pose and the girl like and this so there are two of this two known copies. There's a 6.0 and there's a 3.0 also known. Wow. But yeah, these things they didn't hold up. They're almost all gone, and they're super rare. But this is kind of like my obsession now is this Brazilian horror, but specifically this Jaime Cortez. And yeah, if you saw the Only Slabs, I only showed these.
You probably get a lot of restoration done to some of these, don't you? Or somebody tried to CPR it a little bit.
Yeah, there's a lot of these are restored. A lot of them they replace staples and stuff like that. But Archivist Adrift, Jason, if you haven't watched Archivist Adrift channel, he's great at this stuff. But I sent one to him that he conserved, and he like he's like, yeah, it was rusted staples. He replaced the staples. It was a split cover. He's rejoined the cover. He did all this stuff, all this. So we're thinking this is at CGC right now. And it should get a conserved grade, so like the blue with the gray bar on it. He did professional conservation, not a restoration. So, but yeah, that one when that comes back, if you look at my channel and Archivist Adrift, Jason's, you can see him doing the work, me opening it, and now the next will be once it comes back from CGC. What does it arrive back as? But only that one is the only known copy of that one as well.
Wow. I was joking. I think I nicknamed you on the show because we were talking about earlier. A lot of these books need to be preserved, not just especially Brazilian books. Like you said, there's like two on the census. That book you showed a minute ago, right. And I was half jokingly called you the Indiana Jones of comic collecting because, I mean, like some of the stories you told, like on Only Slabs about, well, I know this guy in this country or like in Brazil that tracked down this book for me, or Portugal or somewhere. And so yeah, it's kind of like the classic part where he's got the was it the Last Crusade, Indiana Jones, the Last Crusade, and he tells the guy it's got the Golden Cross because it belongs in a museum.
Right.
So they belong to be taken care of. A
That's
lot of these are
what
just
I keep saying. Like these things, like some of these I got raw, and they're falling apart. They're great now. There are some that are in Brazil that I'm trying to get them out of Brazil. Like some of them I'm trying to buy. There's one guy in the U.S. His name is Sky Ott. He has the largest collection of Brazilian horror comics on the planet, probably, and the most Jaime Cortez as well. And I think he sees it similarly. But yeah, they're real high acid content. They're rotting. They need to be they need to be protected because, like I said, some of these, there's gaps in the census where we don't know that any exist. There might be certain numbers in that series that are gone forever. You'll never find them again. They're gone.
That's amazing though. Like that, it's kind of like it just be lost to time. Like a lot of like we were talking about earlier, like with some of it's sad. It's like some of Jack Kirby's art, even though it wasn't destroyed. They basically destroyed it anyway because they're just it's not just that film used to do that too. Like the BBC, a lot of the old BBC stuff is gone because they would record over it.
Right.
Like the Monty Python, they had to I think they saved it somehow, but some of it was gone. And not just that, and this maybe is not something everybody wants to preserve, but Friday 13th Part 7. We were looking up, my friend Tony, who does the Friday Night Fright show with me. He looked it up and he was like, well, they had to edit this movie, for the MPAA, and Paramount just threw the other stuff away so there can never be a director's cut.
Right.
And I said the same thing with, I love the United States. I love living here. I'm glad I was born here. I'm glad I was born where I was at. But we're kind of like that way of architecture. Like in Europe, you'll go to Europe and all these old buildings, they try to preserve them after World War II. But we're just fuck it, tear it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I hope people are well, I guess that's what I'm thinking of with these comics, with Golden Age comics specifically, but these even more specifically, I think it's one of the reasons why I got into it is when I happened across one and I started to research it and started to look into this, and then you start to see how very few there are, and then the fact that they still exist, but then they're rotting. They're all of them rusted staples are falling apart. It's like, man, somebody do something. So that's kind of on Only Slabs, Justin Birch, he had a question where he was saying, aren't you afraid by showing these, and I talk about them all the time on my channel, and if you're interested in learning about these books, I talk about them all the time, but he was like, by talking about these, aren't you like undermining yourself because more people find out about them, then you have to bid against more people? And I was like, look, as long as somebody is going to take care of these, they're going to put it, get it where it's going to be preserved and taken care of. Good, fine. You are going to probably have to bid against me and put, strap on because we're going to bid. But if you're going to take care of these, good. I'm happy that you're finding them. I'm happy that somebody's taking care of them. That's really what it is to me for these specific things.
And here's the link. I'll put it in the chat to Chonko's YouTube channel. If you're not already subscribed, I don't know what you're waiting for. This guy puts out good content. But yeah, I think it's cool. I really respect what you do on your channel.
Thanks,
and I can really tell the love you have for comics. I learned a lot just talking to you tonight. Most of I don't know. I'm more into. I know more about Bronze Age horror than I do about the Golden Age stuff. Although I
love Bronze horror too. I like that too.
But and it's kind of getting hard to get that too now because people that can't afford the Golden Age stuff that much, like me, are going to hopping on the Bronze Age train. But hopefully one day I am going to get an EC comic one of these days. I don't know. But and also it was funny, earlier I forgot to mention it. When you show that book and you were talking about Matt Baker, I'm obsessed with Matt Baker now. Some of those Jungle comics.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I love Matt Baker, and people, and more people need to know about Matt Baker. I mean, let's be honest. Matt Baker was the first prominent Black American artist, and was he and people don't understand, like at a time when civil rights was way behind and everything. He was treated by people as a peer. Like he was it wasn't like, I mean, and he was really like one of like probably two. There are probably two, like there are probably more than that, but I think there are two prominent like good girl artists at that time. Well, Matt Baker, Jack Kamen, and yeah, you and you also like I guess there were more, because but like, certainly for prominent those type of things, like a lot of people don't know. A lot of people don't know about Matt Baker. Somebody should do like a documentary about it, because like
Oh,
like
yeah.
there are things that are kind of get lost to time, that like where if and I think a lot of it is due to like people don't understand good girl art, and they don't see like,
Absolutely, I agree with you. Like, and it goes back way before we were even, born. The nose art on the bombers back in World War II.
yeah.
Even before that, really.
I just this is a Jack Kamen. Hold on, I have a Matt Baker. I've got a bunch of Matt Baker, but I thought I had one sitting right here. I don't. This is a Jack Kamen. Boy, I thought I had one sitting right there, but yeah, a lot of like Phantom Lady 17 is a Matt Baker, although there's like some discussion that it was enhanced maybe by another artist, but yeah, a lot of those great good girl covers. Yeah, people should know about Matt Baker, and people should know about all these golden age artists, honestly. But people should kind of understand the history of this stuff. Just be and beyond. There you go, the Seven Seas. That's a great one. That all is cool too.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, it rhymes with lust. I have that right here. That's, most people consider that the first graphic novel. It rhymes with lust. But yeah, like it's another part, like a thing. Yeah, all these Phantom Ladies are cool. There's Phantom Lady 17. Yeah, that's Phantom Lady 17 is the big one, but I have Phantom Lady 16, and I think Phantom Lady 16 is phenomenal. It's it doesn't have it's not like Phantom Lady isn't prominently featured on it, but it's a blonde, and I think it's a beautiful cover.
It makes me want to do like a deep dive video of this,
Yeah, I did a little bit of one where I showed us my Matt Baker, and I talked about Matt Baker, and there's a lot of as you get into it, there's a lot of weird innuendo about Matt Baker, and what's accurate and what's not. I can't really tell you, but like there was a lot of people will say that some people will say Matt Baker was gay, and but other people are saying that this was a story that like cover, because Matt Baker dated white women. So
Wow. Okay.
were other artists like trying to like cover for him and saying he was gay, or I don't know. I don't know that anybody knows.
Either way, back then, it could have been a dangerous thing for people to know.
That's right. And there was like a thing, I think, in artist communities where I think even then, I think being gay might have been more like common.
Okay.
Like I think there are a lot of artists probably, but I don't know. But that's one of the things, like when you start to talk about this, somebody will always bring that up, but I don't know what's true. And I don't know that, I mean, I don't know how much it really matters. I'm just saying that when you bring this topic up and you start to do this deep dive into Matt Baker, that always comes up. Someone's always talking about that.
Well, also the interesting thing is like, they were talking about this was yesterday was Martin Luther King Day, Jr. Day. and like so like there wasn't a lot of like I don't know. I don't really think there was a lot of African American artists at the time working that were like him, which is amazing.
No. He was the first, like for prominent comic book artists. He was the very first Black American artist.
Getting paid for it like that, as a comic artist, And but that's the one thing that's always been about comic book art. You got people from all walks of life. We got Jack Kirby. He was Jewish American, and
there are many. I think there were many people were Jewish
working at Marvel. And there was a lot of women that worked at EC Comics.
That's right. Yeah, and then for women did quite a bit actually. I mean, I and that's the thing is like is there was something to it too, like back when back in at that time it was like especially that time I think it was like if you were great you're gonna work in comics, like, but you had to be great. Where it's like now we got like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of artists, and I think we have great artists for sure, and we probably have more great artists. There's a greater number, but there's a lot of shit artists too. I mean, there's a lot of bad stuff.
It's true. You know how many times, because I'm a new reader, so I'll pick up a new comic and it'll have a great cover on it from somebody like because you got great cover artists that don't really do interiors no more. Jenny Prison, Leslie Lyrics. A lot of these people don't do interior art anymore. Alex Ross, and you'll have this. A good example is like here. I'm gonna find it. I'm over here making noise over here. Hold on. All right. Like, okay, you got Mortal Thor. The new Mortal Thor. Alex Ross is doing all the cover art, but he's not doing the interiors. And like it suffers.
Yeah.
The book suffers because I think it's because, and we talked about this with on Matt's Spidey show the other day. They get paid more to do a cover. Oh, for sure. Oh yeah. Cover a lot of times sells. Like there are so many comics that I buy for cover artists, like, and like everybody says, well, you got to read your comics. And I'm like, well, some, I mean, I have a stack that I read, and then there's other stuff that, so yeah, I don't know. It's something I bristle at, where it's like, you have to read all your comics. Well, if I buy 3 covers of the same comic, I got to read it 3 times. Come on now. Or, or it's like, there are a lot of things where it's cover buys, and like, I think the comic can be garbage. I think most Marvel stuff right now is just trash. I'm sorry. Like when people recommend me something and I try to read something from Marvel Modern, I can barely stomach it almost all the time. I mean, there have been a few exceptions. That Daredevil, that Cold Day in Hell is phenomenal. I mean, that would stand up in any era. I think it was great. That was pretty good. If you like Punisher, though, a lot of stuff. It's like I agree with you though. No, like I can't read. I just can't read. And look, as well as Absolute Batman, all that stuff. Then there's stuff at DC I don't really care to read.
No, there's a lot of stuff I don't care about in DC.
Yeah.
People will recommend certain things to me, and I'll be like, okay, I'll give it a shot, and I'll just be like, I can't make it through.
It's just there's just a lot of, it's like nowadays you seem to have to filter through a lot of crap to find the hidden gems, it seems, in the newer books.
Yeah, a lot of indie stuff is great. I think Image is crushing it.
Yeah,
that was good.
It's way better. Yeah, it's and I'm enjoying this, but I think maybe me and my friend Big Jeff argue about this, but like I think maybe the reason I like this stuff, and I don't think it's for everybody, because we're of the same age group, me, you, and Jeff, and a lot of people in the chat, and we grew up on stuff like this. So of course it's going to appeal to us, but maybe not the younger people. But I think Image and Skybound kind of know their market right now. You know what I'm saying? They know who they're appealing to. So at least there's like I can enjoy reading that, or like, because that's tied into it too. But
I mean, there is good stuff too. It's not everything is trash. Ordained, I love it. I love the first issue of Ordained. We just had Garrett Gunn on our show for an interview this past week, and Curse of Cleaver County, I love. It was a Kickstarter comic, but I loved it. I mean, some stuff from the past year I really like. Like I said, Daredevil Cold Day in Hell I thought was amazing. I love Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, the first one and this one, and I liked Bug Wars. It's kind of silly. I love Battle Beast. I think Battle Beast is phenomenal. It's very silly and it's very kind of over the top, but it's like you know,
Yeah.
just this guy that he's daring anybody to find someone who can beat him and kill him, or he will beat you and eat you. It's so great.
Well, that's kind of like this right here. This is over the top. You know, we know that couldn't really happen like that, but like you killer going in there, shutting the town down. All these killers are like having a battle royale against each other. But like, and Ghost Machine. Yeah, Jeff was talking about Ghost. Hold on,
Ghost Pepper's great.
Geiger.
Yeah, I'm interested in Geiger, but I didn't start reading it early, so I feel like I'm way behind on it. That's the problem.
Yeah. That's the one thing about like I felt like I was playing catch up with a lot of things. Like I wanted to get into Pinup Apocalypse, by the time I discovered it, it was already like 5 issues in, and I couldn't afford the books, the covers I wanted. But
yeah, you could get it in a lot of them in dollar bins now, though. Like especially the Tarasov, like Shabina covers, you're never going to get a dollar bin. But some of Tarasov. So and Tarasov, we had Andrew Tarasov on our channel. They're doing a trade paperback. It's coming.
Okay, cool. I'll have to get that. Yeah, I want some of the Shabina covers. I saw a good deal for 2 of them. Somebody had 2 9/8s on I don't know if it's still there. I had it on my watch list. 2 flight 9/8s for I think they were at 150s for $165 for both of them.
Go to her website. Go to SvetaShabina.com and you can find raw copies of quite a few things still up there. It's not like completely cheap. Some is like, it's like $30 or something, but that's what they go for. That's just that's how it is now.
Well, with standard now, a lot of stuff like Redcoat, Junkyard Joe, Rook Exodus. Yep. Junkyard Joe, I like it because it reminds me of G.I. Robot, Jeff. I think he probably was inspired by that, whoever created that. But Jeff Johns is like doing great over there. So if you can't get the floppies, Chonko, I would maybe get a trade or something and read some of the first early work of Geiger and Redcoat.
Is there a trade for Geiger yet or no?
Yeah, I think so. First,
that's what I need. Yeah, another trade that just dropped very long ago. The whole series collected in a trade now that just dropped. Again, another guy we had on channel, Anthony Cleveland. But that you can get on like Amazon or you can get it at your local bookstore now. The Buried Long Ago. If you're not familiar with that one, it's a female serial killer in Indiana, like true story. But he like turns it into like kind of like a creepy ghost story along with this female serial killer that was like really in Indiana.
And do you ever do any Kickstarter stuff or look into that?
Yeah, that the guy we just had on, Garrett Gunn, he's only doing Kickstarters now. But Curse of Cleaver County, he did Fangers, which is a vampire story and stuff. Yeah, he was fun. He was a funny guy. Like we just talked to him and really good dude.
I'll show you one real quick before we go that I found. This guy, we had him on my show. The story is called, I don't know, you might have heard of it, but let me find if I can find it. I guess it's okay if I show my Kickstarter. That's not my Kickstarter. I meant like my websites here. Dime Store Detective.
Okay.
Let's see if I can still find it. It's already funded, and I'm still waiting on the books. But you know, it takes a while. Hold on. All right. Sometimes I think I know what I'm doing with computer, and then sometimes I don't. All right. Here you go. It's called Dime Store Detective by John Dexter. As a writer, we had him on the show.
Nice. And
it's a trade. I got the trade because I missed out on a minute. But like he's got this other thing. This guy's hold on. Is it gonna let me? I guess it's already rewards. Here we go. Rewards. There it is. I got it like $30, I think, to back it. But I added an add-on. He's got this book called Space Cruising, and I'll tell you how he sold me on it. It's like a futuristic space sci-fi book, and it's like a guy. Imagine a samurai. Here's how he pitched it to me: a samurai that is obsessed with 80s pop culture. And he wears like Who Shot JR shirts and stuff, but he's a samurai.
That's
I
funny.
said so. I said so.
That's funny. Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's like a supernatural thing. This guy goes back to his southern hometown. His family were like bootleggers and stuff, and then all this paranormal stuff starts happening when he goes back. So, and he's a detective. But yeah, I don't know. I might do a review of it soon on the channel. But before we go, do you have anything you want to promote?
Yes, please. Yeah. So every Saturday night on Big Nasty Comics channel, we do the live show. It's a 8 p.m. Eastern. This week we're going to have Adam on. Adam is the U.S. representative and manager for both Andrew Tarasov, the guy who does Pin Apocalypse, and the great Sveta Shabina, the artist from the Ukraine that does these great pinup things. He's going to debut a brand new piece of Sveta Shabina art that's never been seen before on the live show this week.
Awesome.
The following week, so we're still working it out, but it's either the 31st of this month or the 14th of next month. We're going to have the great Suspiria Vilchas on. And if you're not familiar with Suspiria, she is a painter. She does all this like crazy horror art, and she's unbelievable. She's like one of the best artists working today. And then on the 7th of February, we're going to have a roundtable discussion on AI in comics, AI in art, AI in YouTube. And we're going to have our friend Robert Emmons. Robert Emmons is a filmmaker, a documentary maker, and he's a professor of film at Rutgers University. We're also going to have the great Kiss. Kiss is a digital artist. He also has a degree in computer science. He worked for Cisco for a very long time, so he has both. He has like the technical computer knowledge, and he's an artist. And we're going to have our great buddy Sukesha Ray, the awesome Sukesha Ray. If you're not familiar with Sukesha, she's like an absolute sweetheart. She's a total smoke show. She's like one of the absolute nicest people working in comics today, and she has very, very strong opinions on this. In fact, when I invited her to come on, I talked to her probably a couple times a month. I heard the quote was, "Oh, I'm going to fucking go off." So you'll want to see that roundtable discussion, and we're going to get into like all of it. We're going to get into like, is it inevitable? How do we coexist with AI as it goes? So it's going to be a long discussion. I think people will really like that one.
All right, I look forward to that. I will be in the chat for that one. Just if you don't mind, send me a reminder, because sometimes I'm a little bit forgetful.
I always remind people. I anytime we have a show, I send like 3 or 4 reminders on Instagram, so everybody you can't escape it if you want to.
I kind of do that too. People kind of spam the group chats with it, Well, before we get out here, I'll tell you what I got coming up this week and next week. But first, I'd like to reveal who my next guest will be for Comic Conversation. So next Tuesday, I'm pretty sure she's still locked in. If something changes, I'll let the community know. But I should have Coffee Monster. Sabrina will be my guest on Comic Conversations next week.
Nice.
And tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern, I do movie content too. So we did bad cinema last night. We also have good cinema. And we've been doing all kind of police movies. Like the last one we did was like Police Academy for good cinema. But now we're trying to go a little more serious. One of my favorite noir films of the 90s, LA Confidential.
Yeah, it's a great one.
Starring Kim Basinger,
Russell Crowe,
Guy Pearce, Danny DeVito. I think I can't remember his name. Is in it. Then, Kevin Spacey, not him. I know Kevin Spacey, but then James Cromwell, I think is his name, is in it too. He's an older actor. Yeah, Kevin Spacey was in it, and so we're going to be reviewing that. It was a great film. It had the bad fortune of coming out during Titanic, so it didn't win as many awards. But it did. But Kim Basinger did win Best Supporting Actress for that role. And then I have the other show I do on Thursdays, just a hangout show. If you're and Chonko, you've been on there before. If you want to ever come on, just let me know. I'll send the link out. The Comic Lounge. We won't be doing nothing like that on the Comic Lounge, but I'm just a Wolverine fan, so I try to change the thumbnail up. And then Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern, I have the new Comic Day preview show, Sunday Super Show Extravaganza. And there you go. We got this Absolute Batman 16 coming out. We'll talk about the hot trending comics on the on Key Collector app, talking about the trending 20 and hot 10. And we do a little thing called Out of Context panels. It's kind of fun. But I would like to thank my my friend Chonko here for coming on. And oh yeah, Jeff says she's got Sketch Ray's doing a commission on the way. I think she got done with it. Yeah, that's gonna be cool.
Very cool.
He got her to do a. Well, I'll let him show. I won't ruin the surprise. Anyway, I saw the preliminary sketch she did for it. It looked pretty great. So talk about an artist. She's more comfortable. She's comfortable doing both, like you were talking about, like digital and pen to paper. So she can do both, which is amazing.
That's right.
All right, guys. Well, that's it. I'd like to, like I said, Chonko. Much.
Thanks for having me, man.
For coming
It was
on.
fun.
And hopefully you'll come back sometime.
Anytime.
And well, the way I always end the show, like Uncle Stan used to always say when I watched Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, until next time, true believers, Excelsior.
Come, son of Jarrell! Kneel before Zod! Snoochie boochies.